guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Porsche Clearwater in super sunny Clearwater, Florida. And guess what? I have something very unique, but definitely something very Porsche with this car right here. What is it? It's a 2015 Porsche 911 GT3. But before we get into this special livery on a special Porsche, let's talk about what's going on here. The 911, we've already talked about the history, but guess what? There is a special model, this one right next to me, the GT3, which really brings special sports car performance. Now, what's interesting is the GT3 has really not been around as long as you think. The first generation of 911 to get a GT3 model was the 996 generation, and that goes back to 1999. What's fascinating is that was Porsche's way to make a homologation model so that they could race what they were producing for the streets. Now, over time, the GT3 has changed a little bit. Originally, it was all about manual transmission. It was all about that special racetrack performance in this mighty sports car. But with the 911, this particular generation, the 991, it still had that race car performance, but no longer was a manual transmission available. This is the first generation, the 991 generation, which actually came out in 2014. So this is the second year of the 991 generation of the mighty 911. And this one does not have a manual. Now, all hope isn't lost because you are getting the 7-speed PDK, but it's interesting how over time, Porsche saw that they made a mistake, and they now, with a new 911 GT3, the 992 chassis, you can get a 7-speed PDK or you can get a 6-speed manual. But this one has, as you can see, some special things done to it. And what I want to find out is the GT3 the ultimate, the perfect sports car ever built? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this special 2015 GT3 and find out. Right off the bat, you'll notice the color white, Carrera white, but you'll notice some special sponsorship from Apple computers. Guess what? This is basically a tribute design going back to 1980 when there was a Porsche 935 K3 that raced at the coveted 24 Hours Le Mans. It was sponsored by Apple computers. And the reason why was Steve Jobs, obviously the founder of Apple, was into European and German spec cars and motorcycles. So it kind of makes sense. Right off the bat, you'll notice on the 991, the specific front end. You have your oval shape headlight design. I'm not really the biggest fan back then of all the silver on the interior, but of course you have the LED projector beam headlight. We do have the optional washers. I wish that they were body colored because the shiny chrome looks a little out of place. We have LED turn signals, and then you'll notice the massive corner air intakes, wire mesh finish. Like I said, when you get to 991.2, which is 2018, they changed this. I've always liked the way they shape the front end of this with the wire mesh, and then you have that other opening right next to it. Large splitter on a GT3, because remember, we're taking that race car 911 and bringing it for the street. Today, it's not as much as a homologation model as it was back in 1999, but definitely wait until we talk about the engine underneath that engine compartment lid back there. Now, as we come across that front nose, I really feel like if you're getting a 991, I like the dot ones better, but the problem is you can't get a manual. So I'm a little bit torn, but I like the nice large open area in the center here. Wire mesh finish. You'll see our race graphics. Like I said, everything is on here to kind of coordinate with that 1980 Porsche 935 K3. Even the way the top portion has the wire mesh for the aero to do its thing, nicely done on this 2015 GT3. Now, as we rise up, of course, you're going to have your Porsche crest. And then you'll notice the rainbow colors of the Apple brand back in the 1980s. I really am digging the retro theme, that tribute theme on this particular car. Now, as we come around the bend, you'll notice on the GT3, you are gonna get forged aluminum wheels, and on this one, I love the gold. The metallic gold center locking hubs, just like the race car. We have these massive 6-piston Brembo calipers. When you see the Porsche red calipers, that means that we have the steel rotor setup. The carbon ceramic brake rotors are traditionally yellow. The steel are red calipers. Now, you can today option black on both, so that goes right out the window if you see a black caliper. But when you see the bright red, that means we have the steel rotors, and you'll see that these have been upgraded, fully slotted. They're 15-inch rotors, 2-piece, so you have an aluminum hat and the steel rotor to help cut down on that rotating mass. We have PASM. What the heck is that? Porsche Adjustable Suspension Management System. The GT3 actually sits lower, and this one has been lowered just a little bit more. Now, when we come down the side, the Michelin badge, you got the striping of the Apple computers. Really, really classic look on this GT3. The color match on the mirror caps. No sunroof or anything like that. You don't get a sunroof on a GT3. Are you crazy? And then working our way towards our rear, we still have door handles, unlike the new GT3 of today, where you have the flush mounted door handles. Love the way the fender flares out. And you're gonna notice how we have now out back wider wheels and tires. So that's the great news is that looking at this, you have a 20-inch wheel, 305 on the width, 30 series sidewall, sitting on those Cup 2s. Love the way they got the perfect stance on this thing. And then coming towards the rear, you're gonna get that nice race-inspired spoiler. This is the one from the 991. Love the way you got your end plates, nice high-rise wing to give us functional downforce. Of course, we have some more of that wire mesh venting in the back to let the heat out, because this is a rear engine vehicle. Of course, you're gonna have full LED taillights. And then dropping it like it's hot, we got a smoking hot exhaust. This is actually a custom exhaust. Wait until you hear it sing. Nice slash cut, round opening, gloss black tips with our rear diffuser. Of course, you're gonna have electronic limited slip diff, 7-speed PDK, and the engine underneath this rear cover has forged internals, titanium rods, forged pistons, forged crank, and remember, for this particular generation, the 991 chassis, our red line of 9,000 RPM. But why don't we go ahead, let's open up this engine compartment lid and see what we can find out about this GT3. All right, guys, before I let you underneath the engine compartment lid, I do want to show you, I almost forgot, and this is one of the sexiest parts. I love this ginormous air scoop where the air is going to come off the rear glass, which, remember, this is a lighter plexiglass, thinner glass to save weight, and then it's going to ram into this nice scoop on the back with the wire mesh finish. The bad news is in the Zonk is you open it up and there's really not much to see. But the great news is you'll notice we have full carbon fiber back here. You got that 3.8 liter badge because we have a 3.8 liter naturally aspirated flat 6, your twin cooling fans. But let's talk about the other goodness that when it comes to power. So what you're looking at is basically that 3.8 liter flat 6, 475 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque, made it to the 7-speed PDK, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, quarter mile at 11.2 seconds at 126 miles per hour, top speed 195 miles per hour, and the car weighs a mere 3,153 pounds, which is actually quite light by today's standards. MPGs, 15 in the city, 20 on the highway, and this does use a dry sump oiling system. What is a dry sump oiling system? It's basically where you have a reservoir that holds all the oil. There is no oil pan technically on this engine. So all the oil is kept in a separate container and is fed just enough oil to lubricate all the goodness inside this flat 6. What does that help with? It helps that when you're on a racetrack, you're not going to get any kind of oil starvation, because what could sometimes happen if you have a car that has an oil pan, a large oil pan, and you're on a racetrack, depending on the car and depending on the oil pan, the oil is going to shift. You go left, you go right, the oil is going to slosh around, and it may not make good contact with the pickup point of the oil pump, which means the engine can starve for oil, which means you run the chance of spinning a bearing or having other engine issues. With this, it negates that whole problem. And that's part of the race car history, engineering-wise, that's in the back of this GT3. But why don't we go ahead? We have a custom exhaust. We have a naturally aspirated flat six. Let's fire this thing up and hear its roar. All right, guys, we are inside this 2015 Porsche 911 GT3 with that tribute livery of the iconic Porsche 935 K3. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've always wanted a GT3. How much is this one? So brand new, this had an MSRP of $133,000. And the thing is with GT3s, they don't make a ton of them. So much so that in the new car world, if you want a GT3, you're gonna have to pay well over sticker. This particular one, the way that it has the modifications and all the special touches, has an asking price of $131,000. Let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels. Simple, clean design. Soft touch material. You got race-tex on the armrest and the door handle there. That is Porsche's Alcantara. You have a nice large door pocket. Easily get 3 pickles in a bag. So you go to your favorite convenience store like a 7-Eleven, you get that pickle in the bag for your road trip. And then you do have a pocket there, which I'll show you on the driver's side how it opens. That's where you could put your stash of 8 track day Twinkies. Now going from the door panel to the dash, soft touch material. You do have the standard aluminum trim. And what's cool is on the 991s that you don't have on the new GT3s, the 992s, is I like the way they always did the cup holders in here. Not like you're gonna drink in my Porsche, but I guess it's cool the engineering that went into this to keep it so nice and simple and clean. Of course, you have the Sport Chrono package with the clock up top, your lap timer. Working our way down, you do have your standard 7-inch infotainment system. Not a lot to show. There's not even a backup camera because remember, in 2015, backup cameras were not required by law yet. You do have a CD player, so you can get out your Metallica, you get out your Guns N' Roses, maybe some Warren. Dual climate control, all with toggle switches that are nice. And then here she is. This is your only transmission available for this generation GT3. You do have race-tex, the aluminum style. It is the 7-speed PDK, like the way it says GT3 there. You got your PDK Sport button, your PASM. This has the optional front end lift. And of course, you can let that exhaust sing. You got a little cup here for some Tic Tacs. Race-tex material, open it up. You have a nice large compartment. I would say you could put 4 packages of Starburst in there. And I don't know about you, my favorite Starburst flavors were strawberry and cherry. Let me know what your flavors were. I used to hate the orange, the lemon lime, the lime ones or lemon ones. Ugh. But the strawberry and cherry were my favorite. And you have that 12-volt seats. These are your standard, what they call tombstone style seats because it looks like a tombstone. You got your GT3 embroidery leather with the race-tex. Decent bolstering. And then you do have the full power assist. And, of course, the fire extinguisher. Hopefully you never have to use that. This one has a custom cage in the back, full roll cage in the back, painted white, and it's got some rainbow Apple Computers graphics on it. but this is a rear seat delete. Let me see if I can move the seat for Steven. Look at that. So there's the cage, no rear seats, which are nice, and it's got the GT3 embroidery there. But why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you behind this steering wheel that has no buttons on it whatsoever in this GT3. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. I like the way you have the GT3 badge with that aluminum finish there. And then the pedal box, that is race car right there. Hashtag race car. Nice large dead pedal, brake pedal, and throttle. You have your seat controls for the easy functional seats. They're pretty adjustable, but there are better seats. I would have went with the carbon bucket seats. That would have been my choice. But these are still pretty nice, and they have decent bolstering. Plenty of headroom with the race-tex headliner. And then the steering wheel, same story. Race-tex all the way around, no buttons. This is what a steering wheel is supposed to look like. No buttons whatsoever. You do have large metal paddles for the 7-speed PDK, and it is a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. This generation still has the key fob that you use like a key. You actually put it in the ignition and you turn and twist. And then there's that tach, 9,000 RPM. I like the way you have the digital gauges. And then it's cool to see the layout of the analog gauges on both sides of everything. Really gives it a unique look compared to the newer level. And then when it comes to overall driving, the seating position is perfect. But why don't we go ahead? I'm not showing you the frunk. This car's, if you really care about a frunk, let me show you a minivan. If you really need cargo space. What I want to show you is on throttle action in this GT3. Let's get to it. All right, guys, we are inside this 2015 911 GT3 with that custom exhaust. I'm gonna leave it in just straight up automatic mode and have the PDK, that dual clutch transmission, do its thing. Are you ready for launch control? Get ready for this one. And if you are wearing earphones right now or earbuds, you might want to take them out of your ears because this might be a little loud. So if you're ready, I'm definitely ready. Here we go. Launch control, real simple. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the throttle. Release on throttle, yeah! Woo! Wow, this thing. Listen to that sound, that flat six. Everything about this car is so buttoned up, so well put together. Even with it being a 9-year-old car, still does the business so well, so freaking well. The steering is like your hands are on those front axles turning the car. That's what it feels like. That's the communication you get through the wheel. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in manual shift mode. It's real simple. Take that shift lever, push it over to your driver's side right leg, and you're golden now. Now we're gonna use those metal paddles to go up and down the 7-speed. Are you ready? Because I'm freaking ready. Second gear, on throttle, here we go. All the way up to 9,000 RPM. On those brakes. Woo! The sound, this is what being a car enthusiast is all about. And for those who are like, well, an EV is faster, I don't know if I want to talk to you anymore, if you're telling me that. The shifts are so buttery smooth, so fast. I'm going to put it in a PDK sport mode, which is even going to make it even quicker. God, the sound of the downshifts are just, it's like every time a flat six revs to 9,000 RPM, an angel gets its wings. I firmly believe that. Are you ready? Because I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. Look at this, look at this. I'll be here all week. On the brakes, nice downshifts, very balanced, very composed. God, I love this car. And you know me, I'm a manual guy to the day I die, but there's no arguing that this PDK transmission is not one of the best automated gearboxes ever made. And that flat six, Dr. Ferdinand Porsche definitely got it right. Definitely got it right. 3.8 liters of pure goodness coming from that flat six. And the best part is, you could drive this around and it's a pussycat. All the temps are in check. Everything is so solid in here, so well built. But it's the sound. It's the sound that gives you an eargasm every freaking time. Every time. Pulling away. Purrs like a kitty. And then are you ready? Because I'm ready. On throttle! Like it's on rails. Have you ever heard that saying before? Because that's what this 911 GT3 is all about, baby. And then it stops on a Deutschmark and gives everybody change. Massive 15-inch rotors, those forged aluminum wheels. Oh my God. The metal paddles behind the wheel, no buttons to press or accidentally press. The seats, even though these are the base seats, feel fantastic for comfort and support. I would prefer the carbon buckets. That's just my preference. But still, these seats do a damn good job. You ready? Second gear. On throttle, here we go. Look at this, look at this. Like taking candy from a baby. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Oh my God almighty! I don't even know what to say. It's like I do, but I don't. This is as much fun as you could possibly have with all your clothes on. And I don't know, man, I'm digging the 1980s Apple Computers graphics. It definitely gives it such an eye-catching look that people are just like, WTF? And we all know what that means. Boy, the sound. This is what I do. What I do. This is what being a car enthusiast to me is all about. And I'm sorry if you prefer EVs, that's your business, but keep your business way over there, because this is my business. This is my jam, my jelly jam. Freaking ridiculous. This car is freaking ridiculous. But I gotta take it back to Porsche Clearwater. They told me that I was not allowed to take this one home. So I hope that you had one hell of a ride. I know this guy right here enjoyed having you shotgun with me. So we'll get back to Porsche Clearwater and wrap this one up. I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been another fun-filled day here at Porsche Clearwater. Definitely want to thank Larry and the rest of the crew getting us access to this 2015 911 GT3. Let me know what you think. It's been a few years since 2015, but I don't know about you. 475 horsepower out of a 3.8 liter flat six, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. it seems that the GT3 does bring a ton of performance, but is it one of the best sports cars of all time? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Race Rise family. Gotta get it up to Steven Flood, bringing the photography, bringing the videography, bringing the muscle madness. And I'm talking about the muscles in his arms are getting bigger by the day. Some girl came up to him today and would not stop grabbing him. I had to actually threaten her to get her off of him. So thank you, Steven, for holding steadfast, even when the fans are going rabid. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.